doing interviews. You'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax, and get ready. This is the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks live from Las Vegas. I have two amazing guests with me today, and we're going to be talking about the new film they have that they're part of, and I am so excited about it, and I know you guys will love it too, and it's just, we're going to have a lot of fun today. So I have Jeff Lipsky and Claire Milligan. So hi, how are you guys?
Fantastic. How are you,
Corey? How are you?
I am hanging in, but I am excited to be interviewing you guys and to talk about your new movie. It's Goldilocks and the Two Bears.
Correct.
So a little bit of a difference there. So make sure 2 instead of 3, right? So why don't you tell people, either one of you, tell people a little bit about the movie?
Well, go ahead.
No, you go. You go. You know it better than I do.
Well, I wrote and directed the film.
Yes, I think you know a little bit more, right?
No, I think, the wondrous thing for me, one of the most satisfying aspects of casting and directing a film I write is that if I've done a good job casting it, as I have in this case, I wind up with actors that elevate the words I write to a plateau I could never have imagined. It's not that the story changes significantly. It's just that everything becomes seen and heard in such sharp relief that audiences' experience is elevated as well. And that's one of the most exciting things to me about writing and directing films. Anyway, getting back to Goldilocks.
Yeah, I love it. You can talk. We got time. We got time.
Goldilocks and the Two Bears is a story. First of all, I've been boasting, and I'm more than welcome to be challenged, but I've been boasting that this is the first ever theatrical narrative feature film that's been made entirely in Las Vegas, despite the fact that hundreds and thousands of films have been set in Las Vegas.
Yep.
They all go off to California to sound stages or Orlando to sound stages, and we did the whole thing here. And it was a remarkable experience. This is my 8th film, and it was the best shooting experience I've had to date. And my first film that I made in Las Vegas and wrote in Las Vegas and edited in Las Vegas. The movie, it begins like a home invasion in reverse, which is kind of how the title came to me. It's about 3 people whose lives initially are completely disparate characters, and they all come from New York, and they all, by dint of circumstance, wind up in Las Vegas. Temporarily, kind of a pit stop, and a very scary pit stop, possibly in their lives. Claire's character is the Goldilocks doppelganger character. She is somebody who, a young woman, blonde hair, again Goldilocks, who is the sole survivor of a horrible accident that claimed the lives of her entire family, except for her grandmother. And so she becomes the grandmother becomes the guardian of her at a very young age. And as a result of the accident, or not, she begins suffering from monophobia, which is literally a fear of living alone. So she lives with grandma, she lives with partners, boyfriends, college roommates. And grandma decides she's going to go back to school, and it's time for Claire's character, Ivy, to go to college. And grandma decides the University of Nevada in Las Vegas is where they're both going to go, and that Ivy should go ahead to set up the condominium that she's bought. So she arrives alone for a period of what is expected to be 10 days before grandma catches up. And when she arrives, she discovers a man and a woman naked, sleeping inside the condo that her grandmother owns. It turns out that these people have been homeless for a while. that they've been in Vegas for 3 years, and anytime they find an open door or temporary shelter for a couple of nights, they become squatters temporarily.
Right.
And Ivy is about to call 911, but stops when she thinks and realizes, well, wait a second, maybe these people aren't going to do me harm, and I will not have to spend the next 10 days alone. It's a major calculated risk.
Right.
And
One I wouldn't be taking personally.
Yeah.
But
that's
thinking
how,
that I don't have monophobia.
right. But that's how Ivy discovers about the backstories, the lives of Ingrid and Ian. And Ian kind of became, at the beginning of their relationship, Ingrid's mentor, both intellectually and unfortunately with drugs.
Gotcha.
And then what plays out is whether they represent each other's renewed hope for a future, or whether danger lurks around the corner. And I think it's very exciting, largely because the characters and the performers who bring them to life are so riveting. And so, I mean, even though they have commonalities, the three characters, they are also very diverse people. And for the first half of the film, they've kind of confined themselves to this condominium. But then we open it up to the entire, not the Las Vegas that tourists know,
Right.
not the Las Vegas that Hollywood has always known.
Right.
We wanted to see the Las Vegas that the people who just pour into this city of now 3 million people have never seen before they arrive here.
Right.
And that's also one of the exciting things about making a film here of this nature. Anyway, the film takes twists and turns along the way, and I think it is, by the end of the film, it becomes a very electrifying work of fiction about 3 wildly compelling characters. That's basically what the movie's about.
I love it. Do you have anything else? I mean, I'm sure you pretty much covered everything. But
No, there's so much complexity,
Yeah.
but from scene to scene within
No,
each, yeah.
but I don't want to give
No,
everything away, obviously, but
absolutely.
So the basis. But is there anything you'd like to add to it?
No, I think that pretty much sums up the setup for the film, and then it's all about me and these complete strangers who have invaded my house, us testing each other and feeling each other out. Like, it's almost
Right.
like you enter in immediately into like this, you're living with someone. That it's different than just becoming someone's friend at a coffee shop.
Right.
So I this, kind of strangely developed girl, because of the trauma, because
course,
of my
right.
uniqueness, I take on a very innocent and also a very mature role, and I am here kind of trying to adapt and connect and stay with these people who I feel like I know, but I don't really.
I'm so excited to see all of it and learn. It's like you said, it sounds so compelling, and I have so many different thoughts of where the story could go. And me personally, I kind of grew up in the horror genre, so that's where my mind's going. But I don't think it will go there. So it's just very interesting, all the different routes it could go.
There are certainly aspects that you can argue, even from
Yeah.
the very start,
Oh, of course,
when
right.
Ivy walks into this environment and sees these 2 people, runs
That would
out,
be-
and, at first, why is her door unlocked?
True. Very
And
true.
right
Yeah.
at the beginning,
Yeah.
there's a sense of possible dread.
Yeah. Like that suspense.
And then it changes,
Yeah.
and then it changes,
Yeah.
and then it goes in all kinds of other directions.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because you have, like you said, multiple different genres kind of working at the same time, which
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
And I know obviously you're not from Vegas, but what made you come to Vegas? Like, are you living here now, or what made you work in Vegas and do it in Vegas?
I moved here in late 2018.
Okay.
And had no idea whether I was going to live here for the rest of my life. I had already made 7 feature films, and I'd always enjoyed coming here
Mhm.
as a tourist.
Yeah.
So all I really knew was the Strip.
Right.
And when I arrived, and I came here for economic reasons. I lived in New York most of my life.
Yeah.
And in 2018, the one room apartment I was renting, the rent was about to be raised to $2,800 a month in 2018.
Yeah.
And I was telling,
Yep.
I have a brother who lives in Seattle, and I was telling him about my plight. And he said, well, I own a condo in Vegas. Nobody lives there. Why don't you just move there? You like Las Vegas. And that was the impetus to move.
Right.
And I was very busy that first year. I was in post-production on my last movie,
Okay.
which is called The Last Nazi, which is a contemporary Holocaust-themed film.
Wow.
That was filmed in New York. But I was in post-production, and then we opened in early 2019. And I spent most of 2019 running around the country, and in fact, the world, to London, opening the film. When I open a film in a theater, in a city, I like to be there opening weekend to do Q&As.
Right.
And not just for people who come at 7 o'clock. There's nothing wrong with the people who come at 2 o'clock.
Right.
So by the time I got back to Vegas, it was the end of 2019 and I could breathe. And then 2020 came and the world ended.
Yeah.
And so I became a hypochondriacal hermit for 2 years.
Yeah.
But I didn't stop working. And living here, and I live in an upscale suburb, Summerlin, Nevada.
Yeah.
And it's a massive suburb now.
Mhm.
And my condo community, there are 250 units. And everybody's a stranger to me.
Yeah.
And I would see them, and sometimes it would seem like they were lurking. But this is a place, we're in Las Vegas, but in Summerlin, you could hear a pin drop 24 hours a day.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, what's going on here? How does somebody enter this environment? And that's what I said, well, there must be other people that come from New York for some reason. And that's how I began thinking about it. What if 3 complete strangers end up in someplace exactly like this and aren't, Nicolas Cage on the Strip or
Right.
aren't Brad
Right.
Pitt and George Clooney on the Strip?
Right.
And that's what motivated me to write during the early parts of the pandemic. And when it was finished, I loved what I had written.
Yeah.
And then it was time to raise money to make the film. And I have, after 7 films, learned how to make good movies for essentially no money.
Right.
But movies where there are 47 people that worked on this movie.
Yeah.
And except for the writer and the director and the producer, everybody got paid a salary.
Yeah.
So I had to raise the money. And the 2 people that had financed most of my previous film, I told them about it and they stepped up and they said, look, we didn't make a profit on your last film yet, but we believe in you and we loved the movie you made before. And we think you're going to continue to make good movies. And when the one you make really breaks through at the box office, we don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. So they gave me the money to make this movie. And then it was a unique challenge. The pandemic was kind of in the late stage at that point.
Yeah.
Screen Actors Guild still had very severe COVID mandates in place, which made it a more expensive, a daunting challenge to make for anybody to make a movie.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And but we powered through it. And the principal cast is all from California.
Okay.
A couple of supporting actors from New York, but the principal cast is all from California, except for 3 children who appear briefly in the movie who are from Las Vegas. But most of our crew, I found in Las Vegas, remarkably adept, talented, skillful people who, many of whom were graduates from UNLV's cinema program, which is a very prolific program. And then 3 of the 4 original songs that are performed during the film were written, performed, and engineered by teenagers who attended the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts. The 4th original song was written and performed by Claire. She is unbelievably multi-talented.
That's awesome.
And that's why I've written my next film in part for her. Anyway, did that answer your question?
Yes. No, I just think it's so interesting. And my family is from New York too. I was born and raised in Vegas, but my family came out from New York too. So it's kind of funny that you came out from New York. But honestly, there's so many New Yorkers that are in Vegas. It's kind of insane. Yeah.
Either New York or California these days.
That's right. Yeah. So, well, California makes sense because it's right there, and California is insanely expensive. But New York, you're like, how in the world? That is complete weather. Everything's completely opposite from here, so it's very interesting.
Where did your family live in New York?
Everywhere. They live Bronx, Queens,
so they were
Rockland County,
and Bronx, Rockland, Queens, and Manhattan.
Yeah, Manhattan. Yeah, so everywhere.
mostly city people.
Yeah.
I've made movies everywhere your parents lived in New York. So
it's funny, but I love Vegas. I like I said, I was born and raised here and stuff. But people don't realize there's huge acting community, huge film community, the music community. I mean, there's just so many different things, and I love going to the arts districts area and stuff. It's Vegas has such a cool vibe to it. So.
You've been here a lot longer than I have, but I have to disagree with you there because when we set out to cast our film, it was the first time I had ever cast virtually. I was always casting in New York in person from the audition stage onward. And so we took we posted a casting notice in Backstage, and for the 3 main roles, we received 500 submissions. For all of the roles, we received a total of 1,000 submissions. Not one from anybody in Nevada.
Really?
And when I tried to go online, I know there's a Facebook website of actors and blah, 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 blah. Nobody. We found nobody. And frankly, those who did audition for very small roles in the film, but good roles in the film, they couldn't hold a candle to the people we saw who were from Nebraska or Florida or Texas. And I was very disappointed about that because, as I said, most of our crew are locals, and they were spectacular. Really, all of my crews, if I've done the right job crewing the film, they bring to the table things that I could never have achieved as the director of the film. But when it came to the actors, maybe it was just these specific roles. I don't know, but 1,000 submissions, and we auditioned 500 people. So, and as I said, it was from almost every state in the country, except from Nevada.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because I do a lot of acting here in the community and stuff. But maybe it's just
you didn't submit.
I didn't see it. Believe me, I would. But I'm glad it got to you, obviously. And
but there were a lot of roles to cast.
I didn't see it, but there's so many different agents here in Vegas and stuff. It's very weird how a lot of the casting, and like you said, a lot of it's on Facebook pages and stuff. So it's very different. I would like to look into it too. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that may be the thing, because I did some films over in a small town in Washington, and it was a small town, but I was so surprised at the acting industry there. But they weren't all on Backstage or anything. They kind of have their own little community niches.
And that's how it kind of is here. So
it might just be that you didn't reach the small the community, because they're all working together with Las Vegas filmmakers, and that's where all the actors are. They don't have to go out of their community, which is cool to see how the different you think of film as LA,
right?
But there's so many different little film communities all over the world.
I mean, now that we've proven that you can make a film from start to finish in Las Vegas, I imagine that if and when the $2 billion movie studio that's being constructed in Summerlin South right now is completed, and that nobody, be they from California or New York, has to go anywhere. Let's look at Ocean's 11 again. Now they won't have to go to a soundstage in California or Florida to rebuild the Bellagio vault so they can blow it up. It doesn't matter what kind. Now, we proved that depending on the film, this is a very specific kind of film. So you can find sufficient numbers of locations, both interiors and exteriors, and stay here.
I'm a huge I've been fighting for Vegas for years now because we have Lake Mead, and that could be so many different types of locations. You have the Strip, you have so many different office complexes, you have the suburbs, you have Mount Charleston. Like there's so much in Boulder City if you need a small town. Like there's so many different options here. But I'm glad you're bringing more attention to it and stuff. And you could see, like you said, you're proving more and more that there can be films completely shot here.
And even on our budget,
Yeah.
we managed to find, location-wise, so many helpful and generous locations
Mhm.
Yeah,
who were
absolutely.
not trying to extort money from us. They understood. We were very open about what
Yeah.
our budget was. We had a budget for locations. It was not generous, but the people liked the idea. I don't know whether it was just getting free publicity should the film really break out, but we got some terrific help from locals.
Oh, absolutely.
Although, for example, there was one exception. I will say, when we needed, but because it was required, I don't know how much we needed it, but when we worked for, one day we did film near the Strip. And we were required to hire 2 Las Vegas Police Department, LVPD people,
Right.
and they were great. It wasn't an obscene amount of money we had to pay. They wanted to be part of the production. They were willing to go to bat for us, for all the time they were with us. That said, we had another conditional situation where we had to hire 2 Nevada Highway Patrol people. That was our only situation. I think we need to work. We need to work with the people who are in charge at Nevada Highway Patrol to just be more filmmaker friendly. That's all. Because it's things like that. With so many states vying for film production to come to their state and offering film production tax credits. Everybody, if it's going to work, everybody. Oh, the interesting thing also about these tax credits, which I can't even fully define or make entertaining for your audience, but the key is not just coming to town, spending money, and then getting money back from taxpayers. That's all well and good and everything, but what can happen is if enough film and television work goes on in that state, it can lead to full-time jobs in that state.
100%.
Not just the hit and run films or the one season of a TV series. That's why in Georgia, Tyler Perry has practically created a permanent mega studio and a vast infrastructure in Georgia, just as 2 television shows back to back, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, invented an industry in New Mexico, which is now permanent.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to happen in Nevada as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I like I said, I've been a huge proponent of it for years, and with the big movie studio too, we're all really excited about that. I think that'll bring a lot more attention to it. I said it's a mini LA. I'm biased. I liked it a lot. I like it a lot more than LA, but we're getting there. We're getting more and more every day. Yeah.
I prefer Las Vegas to shooting in LA too, but shooting in New York is actually, for a city that's such a myriad of nightmarish proportions, they are very film friendly.
Really?
And that's why they, coming out of the pandemic, immediately became a boom town for production again, whereas that hasn't happened in Los Angeles.
Interesting.
So
no, I love New York. I never lived there, but I do love New York, so I'm a big fan. But and I do want to speak to you a little bit too, because this is such an interesting role, and I'm sure a lot of research went into it and a lot of thought went into it. What was your process once you were cast, and in creating your character and building like a background for her and becoming her?
Well, this one was interesting because I've done a lot of character work from like things in a very specific time period or a very specific realm where I kind of base it off of a historical figure or something. Like I like to take that. But Ivy was just a college girl in 2017, right?
Mhm.
So I had a different process with her, though. Right off the bat, from the very first audition, I felt so deeply connected that I was this character. I was just like, I am this character. I did 3 callbacks, and every callback I was like, it's me.
Yeah.
And but my process for building the character really went in the dialogue. There's a very rich backstory with Ivy that I could build off of, and really where she came from is imagining her family, because she lost her family. So I wrote pages about who my mother was, what she smelled like, how my father was like, how me and my father connected, my siblings, because I think the familial connections, and also my grandma who's still alive, who I grew up with, I imagined her and the traits I took on from her. But I think my lost familial connections are what played into how I reacted with Ingrid and Ian, who are the 2 people who the 2 squatters,
Right.
the lovely charismatic squatters that I find in my apartment. But I think it was really like, Ivy's she's not meant to be, a over the top superstar or anything like that. She's a normal, grounded girl with a traumatic history. But I think she was very ingratiated in her family. She was very connected in her family. And I think that has stuck with her, especially because they were gone. So that is what I feel like charged the character and made her different from me, Claire.
Yeah.
And made my interactions with Ian and Ingrid different than me, Claire, because like you, I would be like, get the fuck out, I'm calling the cop.
Right, exactly.
Sorry, I probably shouldn't curse.
You're fine. We're on the internet. You're good. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, you would. Most normal people would call the cops, but Ivy's a very unique person.
Yeah.
So that was very inspiring to me, and was kind of a new challenge as an actor to really start from scratch with a person kind of in very normal, abnormal experiences.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's so interesting, and I from the trailer and everything, you just really seem to bring the character to life, and like you said, it seemed very well casted, and the crew, I love crew members and stuff. They make such a big difference in if it's going to be a good film or a bad film. I mean, people don't give them enough credit, but I just think this looks so incredible, and I'm so excited for it, and everything, it seems like it just came together to make a little masterpiece, So.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Now, and then tonight is the premiere, correct, at Red Rock?
Tonight is the world premiere. I felt it was only appropriate that what I boast about be true all the way to the end.
Yes.
So yeah, at Regal Red Rock, we are having the world premiere tonight. And then, as I said, it's a nationwide release. After that, it opens in New York next week.
Awesome.
It opens in Los Angeles following that. And then it'll be around. It takes a while for my films to go out because of my obsession with being on site in each major city as it is. So it'll take the summer and the fall before it really penetrates the entire country. And these talkbacks that we do and these Q&As are revelatory, not just to the audience, but to me. I love learning. I mean, something that I've succeeded in just by, and I know that because of the audience Q&A reaction, is when they tell me about interpretations of my stories or about the characters that I never knew. And obviously, by the time the film is in theaters, I've seen it 250 times.
Right.
And I still don't know. And that's the magic of working with actors, too.
Yeah.
Because I can see a film 250 times in my editing room. And on that 250th time, I can realize something the actor had done that I had never spotted before.
Right.
And it, as a film watcher, it reinvigorates me.
100%.
So so this one is world premiering in Las Vegas tonight, and then opening in Las Vegas tomorrow officially. And hopefully it'll play. My last movie played at the now defunct Regal Village Square Theater, but it played there for a month, and we had very robust audiences for that one. So there is an audience for made in Las Vegas, specialized independent films, and they're very rewarding, and the Avengers Endgame is all good, all well and good, and the industry needs those big time too. But it was just 4 or 5 years ago that this incredible film from Korea that was subtitled did over $50 million in theaters in the United States. So we sell our movie audiences short sometimes.
Yeah.
They have a hunger for all different genres and types and styles of movies. And I think we are delivering, thanks to my cast, a unique style.
Absolutely. No, I think it's so true. And, the pandemic was horrible, but I think made people kind of see the world in a very different way. And I think it kind of built more of a community for people that do appreciate films and want to go to the actual theaters and see them. And if they can, I mean, this is such a unique opportunity to meet the filmmaker and stuff. That's not very common at all, especially like you said, going to all the different major cities and obviously the cast tonight and maybe possibly in the future as well. So I just think it's a really cool opportunity, and I think a lot of people will appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they come out all weekend long. I'm going to be doing Q&As at the Red Rock after every performance, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, and then not next week because we're all heading for New York next week. So,
that'll be fun.
The opening there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm so excited for you guys, and I want to ask because just you want little fun stories behind the scenes, which hopefully they'll maybe be behind the scenes footage eventually that comes out too. That I know people always love that, and this I can't think of the word, but when you mess up the gag reel,
oh yeah, the bloopers.
The bloopers. That's it. Thank you so much. I was like, what is the name for it? The bloopers. But
and this is going to be on it.
Exactly correct. This is
a real life blooper.
You know what's funny about that? You can go online. I remember watching half-hour reel online of train wreck bloopers and things like that.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, and that wasn't even that expensive a movie to make,
Right.
but I'm still thinking about how do they have the money to do these endless movies? Also, my films are not improvised. So, it becomes a very, not rigid, I hope, but everybody's dedicated to do what was on the page, to take it to higher levels.
Yeah.
And on our budget, who has time for bloopers? Now, that said, I can't even think back to any kind of funny thing that happened when we were making the
I was
film.
going to say, like, any fun behind the scenes.
I'll tell you what the funny, not to turn your audience off, at the risk of turning your audience off, the funniest scene to shoot was actually a scene that involved Ivy's first encounter with the character of Ian. Because the first time she notices him, he's sleeping. But the first time she interacts inadvertently with him is when she's unpacking and happens to pass an open bathroom door and he's peeing. And the actor who brilliantly plays this character, who's a very serious character, he called me a couple of weeks before we began shooting and he said, Jeff, listen, I just wanted to ask you, but when we film the peeing scene, did you actually want me to be doing that? And I said, well, Brian, I'm not going to make you do that.
Right.
If you wanted my preference, I am a very realistic filmmaker. I'd say yes. And so he said, okay. And when it came time to film, now in an intimate situation like that, there are only about 3, maybe 4 people on the crew that are involved. And usually mostly women other than myself. In this case, it was another man too. But he thought it was going to be a piece of cake. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And that's why, we don't even have that. Actually, I guess we would have that footage of waiting. And there's the camera just had to had to keep rolling. And then he was like screaming to one of our assistants, can I get another bottle of water now? And so that's the only thing. It was funny. It was kind of
could have added P on Q to his resume, but not really.
Yeah, no, I have to go rushing water whenever I'm by myself to relax enough to pee. I don't know how he did. That's like some true Lee Strasberg relaxation method acting.
He deserves a lot of credit for that scene. And it was intended to be a humorous moment because it's the first time that Ivy sees him. Yeah. And, there were things that happened that weren't even bloopers. but that I don't think we caught, because it would happen after I said, you have cinematographers, as soon as the director says the word cut, bang, that and it's not worth shooting film, the digital camera is shut off. But there was one long take by one of Claire's co-stars, and where she had a long speech. And we shot it in one take, on one interrupted take. She's actually talking to Ivy at the time.
Yeah.
And something happened after I said cut. And I believe, I haven't looked back, but I believe after the camera was shut down, that it never happened on any of my other 7 films before. The entire crew burst into applause.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's a unique situation to see that it's not just, oh, we're here to make a movie. Right. It's like the actors in my films are so riveting. So, I mean, that you can't take your eyes off them. That extends to the crew, to the people that have already read the script themselves, to the people that know what the person's about to say. Yeah. But when you have that caliber of talent, it's revelatory. And people want to express their admiration, and it doesn't happen often.
Absolutely. No, totally true. And do you have a specific moment, like when that was really funny to you, or have fun behind the scenes, or while you're filming?
I remember that moment with Sarah giving her monologue, and I was just she was talking to me in that scene, and I was there listening to it and felt so amazed and thankful to have the talent beside me that I did, because I was still, I mean, I still consider myself a pretty, like, a fairly, I have a long way to go, I think, personally, as an actor. And at that point, I felt even more new to the realm. Yeah. This was my first feature film. I'd only done a handful of, very student shorts before. So I just remember kind of reveling in all of the experience I felt around me, but there were so many fun times on this set. It was very comfortable, and like you said, the crew all were into it first, which I think it's almost like the standard way of being on a film set for, the gaffers to just be like chill, so everybody knows, like, they got to be quiet, they can't be goofing off, so everybody's just kind of in this relaxed state of being. But it was really nice to, like, have the quiet cinematographer come up and say that they loved our performances. That's awesome. Or it made you feel really, really empowered as an actor, and less self-conscious whenever you know that people around, or that what you are, how you're existing is being seen. It's being realized. And so that was a really cool moment on set. But we got to go so many cool places. We were up on top of the Strat filming. I remember that was a really fun day. We filmed, like, at the top where people were bungee jumping off of, and it just felt like one big adventure.
That was that merging of the mutual respect, the mutual admiration, and the merging of cast and crew. I can't imagine is always evidence, always, omnipresent on film sets. But I've been lucky enough to have that happen on my 4th film. That starred Jonathan Groff, the actor who just won the Tony Award for Merrily We Roll Along. He was the star of my 4th film. And there was a scene. Now, this is going to make it sound really down, but it's not. Well, the scene is. But you never. Well, never mind. That gets into a whole long story. But there was a scene in which he date raped somebody. Okay. And after we shot that scene, this debate raged amongst the crew members, and they really got into it. I had a very heavily female crew on that movie, and about whether they thought it qualified as date rape, or whether it was the circumstance of this, that, and the other thing happening. And it was, how often do you see these raging debates about, while the filming is taking place between, actor and crew, the give and take. And it's gratifying when that happens. It's your first audience. The crew is your first ever audience.
Very true. Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that turn me on to witness this, the fly on the wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing, it's again, at our budget level, we never have time. If we had a behind the scenes crew doing B-roll of everything,
Right.
you would capture certain things. We were filming, I guess it was the end of summer, fall. And there's one scene early in the film where Ivy goes into the swimming pool. And it was going to be shot first thing in the day. The day before it was 90, 95 degrees. This is Las Vegas. We get there, we're ready to throw her in the water. Lightning and thunderstorms, and it's cold.
Yeah.
And I told my assistant director, I said, well, let's film it anyway. And they said, no, we're not putting anybody into the swimming pool. So it's like all that stuff would be interesting if, as an extra, as a DVD extra or something.
Yeah.
But no, and everybody.
The debate on whether to try the actors.
I have a feeling Clara would have done it,
I
but
was
she
gonna
would
say,
have
would you
hated.
the
She
one-
would have hated me. She would have hated me for it. But
It could
my
have been good.
my assistant director was correct to admonish me.
But I think that's cool. You can rely. I think it's beautiful when the cast and crew and producer, everyone can all work together and really rely on each other. And like you said, it is rare, but when it does work, it works really well, and it shows and it comes out at the end.
Mhm.
So, well, I think you guys are wonderful. I'm so excited to see Goldilocks and the Two Bears. Why don't you tell people, do you have social medias, websites where people can keep up to date? I know you said you have future screenings and stuff where people can keep up to date.
Our official website is just Goldilocks and the Two Bears spelled out.com.
Okay.
And then of course we all have our own social media.
Yeah,
stuff.
but please share that. So people.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram, although I seldom post. I don't know. I don't know where you are.
I'm Claire Milligan on IMDb, or if I have a personal kind of professional Instagram, which is Girl Mad Bird. If you want to follow me on there.
Claire's co-star Sarah Naiman has an Instagram account, a page. With 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
So clearly she's the winner amongst all of us right now. And she's posting constantly. I don't even understand,
Yeah.
She's a comedian, so she does
cool.
like little comedy skits on her Instagram. She just keeps pumping out these geniusly hilarious videos.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm so excited, and like you said, you really casted very well, and you have a brilliant cast and crew. So I'm so excited to see it. It's gonna be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And the world premiere tonight, and then hopefully, like you said, if people aren't in Vegas and can't make the Vegas screening, a lot of major cities will have it too.
Mhm.
And
so.
that'll be updated on the website.
Perfect.
So,
So up on the website. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for being on. It was truly an honor. You guys are both great, and I'm so
thank you for
excited
having
it.
us. I really appreciate
Thank you,
Oh,
Corey.
absolutely. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please go check out their website, Goldilocks and the Two Bears. Keep up to date. Any major city, I'm telling you, you will want to go meet them and go to the Q&A. It'll be lots of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, never give up, always believe, and you'll achieve. Thinking of us.
Is there anyone else in here?
No,
What are you doing here?
I live here.
No, you don't. My grandmother lives here. Are you gonna hurt me?
We found your door unlocked. We get lucky like that sometimes. Open houses sometimes.
I'm literally afraid of living alone by myself. Ingrid, who's the man on the floor?
I trust that man with my life. Look, I'm afraid of sharp things, of bleeding. Ian likes to touch me. That's all. Just he touches me sometimes.
How long have you lived here?
Lived. Good one.
I don't want you guys to go. I wish you'd let me in. So what are you gonna do when she gets here?
What are you talking about? What makes you think your grandma's really coming here? I'm just saying.
You see, we really don't know you at all.